This is Radiant Voices Media.
This is your permission slip to speak your truth, own your story, and laugh through the chaos. Welcome to the Transparently Jordan podcast. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Transparently Jordan podcast. Today we're diving into one of the most common questions I get asked. How do I actually start a podcast? And once you've started, how do you grow it so it actually reaches people? By the end of today's episode, you'll have a step-by-step roadmap and some of the best strategies to help you turn ideas into something that lasts. This topic is very dear to me currently because, as a lot of you know, I have started recently a podcast production company called Radiant Voices Media. This company is in place to help new podcasters, existing podcasters, and just anybody out there that wants to get their voice out there or who already has their voice out there on a podcast and needs help with editing, needs help with promoting, needs help with getting it growing. So definitely reach out. You can go to the show notes and you can find radiantvoicesmedia.com. You can take a look at what I offer and work with me if needed. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Now, why should you start a podcast? There are many reasons why businesses, why yourself, and why just getting your voice out there is super important. For a business, for example, showcasing what you have to offer, showcasing personality, I think attracts new customers and attracts people and valuable and loyal people to your company. I think if you have kind of this podcast and something that people can connect with, it just brings people back to your business, to your brand. And, I think people out there that feel like they know a business owner or they know a clinician or they know their trainer a little bit more personally will come back a little bit more quicker or be more inclined to come back and see you and work with you. So podcasting is super important as a business, but also for your personal brand. If you are somebody that is working online, if you're somebody that is creating content, then having a podcast is so important because once again, it allows people to get to know you and to understand you a little bit better. I think when people understand you and when people know you, they will follow you and they will kind of be loyal to what you are saying and what you are doing a bit more. So I think finding your why and talking about your why is super important when starting a podcast. And it's a reason why I think everybody should have a podcast. There are a lot of doubts that people often have when you start a podcast. The first thing is, do I need expensive equipment? And the second one is, what if no one listens at first? I'm going to be honest with you. When I first started my podcast, I was on Amazon and I searched up the cheapest gear. And I think sometimes you can get some decent gear for very low price. You do not need to go out and buy Rode microphones and be spending $600-700 on microphones. That is something that I have done recently, but I've been doing this podcast for now 6 years. When I first started, I bought a $20 microphone from Kmart, and I think it worked just fine. You are not going to get a lot of listeners in the beginning. You might get some friends, you might get some family, but I think it's important to set realistic expectations. If you are expecting to start a podcast, to put your voice out there and get hundreds of thousands of listeners on the first episode, then you are going to be in for a rude awakening. You might only get 1, you might only get 10, you might only get 100 listeners in your first couple of episodes, but that's okay. The more consistent you are, the more that you put out there and the more that you grow with the process, the more people will be loyal, share your podcast, and your listener base will grow. I think have have a reason why, but also figure out what is motivating you to start a podcast. For me, when I started this podcast back in 2020, it was more so for connection. I had just moved to Australia from Canada. I knew absolutely nobody. COVID hit, and I was basically stuck in my dorm room by myself, knowing absolutely nobody. I didn't get to meet a lot of people. I didn't get to go out and socialize because we couldn't go out and we couldn't gather. So, for me, it was more so just to talk with people, to get to know people, and to grow as well. For me, it's a bit of a selfish reason as well. I love having guests on the podcast to help educate me and talk about things that I don't know about, to help just have a conversation with other people. Maybe they have the same values of me, maybe they don't, maybe they know more than me, maybe they don't. I think it's just important to be able to talk to people, and I think so much can come out of conversations with random people sometimes. So basically, the takeaway from that is if you know your why and why you want to start a podcast, then you will push through the slow starts like this expensive equipment and the what if nobody listens. So, getting started, here's the basics: choose your niche audience. Don't try to talk to everyone, be specific. And ask yourself, who am I trying to reach, and what problem am I trying to solve, or what value am I giving? For this podcast, the Transparently Jordan podcast, I know all of you listeners are tuning in because you want to better yourselves, and you want to find different ways, and you want to learn tangible tips on how you can better yourselves. That is my why, and that is who I am trying to reach. I am trying to reach the person that wants to grow and the person that is in the space to grow. Format and style. You want to figure out if you want to do solo episodes, if you want to do interviews, if you want to have a co host, and the logistics of how all of that is going to work. Length is also important. Shorter episodes are easier to get out. You can get out multiple episodes a week if you want. But remember, consistency is greater than perfection. So even if you have all of these short episodes or one long episode, the important thing is that you are consistent each week. You're posting one episode the same time, the same day, or you're posting multiple episodes the same time or the same days. People do not like to log in to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and see that you are posting randomly. People like routine sometimes. And having your podcast on the same time, the same day, just works yourself into other people's routines. My podcast episodes come out every Tuesday at 6 a.m. So I would assume sometimes people know, okay, the Transparently Jordan podcast is posted on my way to work. I'm going to listen to some of the episode and maybe listen to the rest on the way home or whatever it might be. Let's get into equipment and tech, the most technical of it all. Start simple. Getting a USB mic, something that hooks right up into your computer, is the best way to go. You do not need to get all of these fancy equipment like the Rode PodMiccaster and all of these things that are super expensive. Just get something that plugs into your laptop and you're good to go. Have a quiet space and a space that doesn't have a lot of echo, etc., etc. For me, I have my studio. Right now I'm recording at home in my bedroom, and it's the best that I can do when I'm at home. Sometimes these episodes sound a little bit different when I'm at home versus when I'm at the studio, and you can actually hear the difference. But make sure that the sound is as good as it can be because people are not going to tune in if it sounds like crap each week. There are many free, cheap editing tools out there. You do not need to be spending a penny on anything. If you are, ask yourself why you're doing that. A lot of the times you can get everything that you need out of free tools. Whether you are a PC or a Mac user, again, you do not need to be spending a penny. Yes, sometimes the more expensive programs you can do a bit more, but you can do everything right off the bat, what everything you need to do just with a free program. Have a hosting platform in mind. I use Podbean. I've used Buzzsprout in the past, and I've used Spotify for podcasters in the past as well, but I prefer Podbean. You have to ask yourself what you want, and a lot of the times, again, you don't need to be spending a penny on getting your podcast out there with the hosting platform. I do spend money with Podbean. That's just where I am at with my podcast, but you can join Spotify for podcasters and put your podcast out for free. You can put your podcast out with YouTube or with SoundCloud, for example. There are plenty of ways to put your podcast out there for free. And finally, branding. Make sure you have a podcast name. It's clear and it's clever. Have some good cover art that's professional but simple. And finally, intro and outro music to set the tone and to sound a little bit more professional with the whole podcast. So now that you've got your concept, your format, and some basic gear, the hardest part is simply pressing record. But once you do, the next big question is, how do you actually grow? First thing, consistency. Choose a realistic schedule, whether it's weekly or even fortnightly, and stick to it. Audiences build trust when they know what to expect. Content quality and value. Always ask, would I listen to this if I wasn't the host? Provide takeaways, insights, or entertainment, just getting people to come back and listen. Do you want to storytell or read a script or just kind of go basically freeball it? I freeball it a lot of the times, but sometimes I have a script and I like to be a little bit more prepared. Now, promotion strategies. Make sure that you are promoting your podcast with audiograms or video snippets. In this day and age, if you are not using video snippets, you are behind. Posting audiograms or just audio and pictures on Instagram is not going to be seen. Instagram does not push that content. So if you want to grow, make sure you are posting reels and video content. Repurpose episodes into blogs, quotes, or newsletters to get out to other people as well. Have guests on your show. This is a great way to bring in new listeners each week. Networking and collaborations is a great way to grow as well. Be a guest on other podcasts. Again, have guests on yours. Or partner with people in your niche for crossover content, whether it be on socials or on the podcast itself. Engage your listeners. Ask for reviews and ratings and actually read what is said to you on air and just kind of involve the listeners sometimes. Create kind of a question and answer or listener questions and polls on Instagram to answer on the episodes is a great way or a great thing to do as well. I am a numbers guy, so make sure you are looking through the analytics. Again, that's one of the main reasons why I have Podbean, because Podbean's analytics are vastly greater than Spotify's. But make sure that you track downloads, make sure that you are figuring out when people are listening, what time, what part of the world, and what is going on kind of as well in the world. Notice which episodes do well and replicate that style and tone as well. Common mistakes to avoid is waiting too long to start because you're chasing perfection. Put your episodes out there and grow. If your episodes from year 5 sound the same way as year 1, yeah, you might have work to do, and yeah, you might not grow. But as long as your listeners are noticing improvement, I think they will appreciate kind of this journey with you. Again, don't post inconsistently, don't overcomplicate equipment, and don't ignore audience feedback. If they are wanting something, try and give it to them, whether it be certain guests or posting on topics. Quitting too soon. I probably didn't grow until I was at like episode 50 or something like that. Like you have to consistently put out things. You might again get 1, 2, 3, 10, 100 listens for 10, 20, 30 episodes. But the more consistently you put out, I think there are so many people and there are millions of podcasts that come out a month, I think is what the data shows. I think though, where that number drops off, you could probably track like out of the 1,000,000 people, I bet you only a certain percentage of those people continue with the podcast. Half of them probably expect to gain so many listeners in the first 10 episodes, and once they don't, they stop. So just kind of consistently stick with it and don't quit. Now, some main points. Know your why, start simple, and be consistent. Promote smartly and keep improving. I think if you follow those tips, you can easily start a podcast, get your voice out there, and grow kind of to the successful show that you want. Your voice matters. There's someone out there that needs to hear your perspective. So don't wait until everything is perfect. Just start. That's it for today's episode. Again, if you need help at all with your podcast, if you have any questions at all, visit radiantvoicesmedia.com and be sure to reach out to me. I am here to help. I've been doing this for nearly 6 years now, and I am sure everything that you are experiencing, all of the questions that you have, the frights that you might have, I have experienced it. I've gone through it all, and that is why I am starting this production company, or why I've started it, to help guide you and to help you grow into the podcaster that you want to be. Thank you all for listening. I will talk to you on the next episode.